Let me tell you a story that is both sweet and sad. It is the story of how 7 women built a heavy chain around one man's destiny until the 8th woman came and shattered it with chaos. The man's name was Godwin, or as people fondly called him, Baba Godi. In his hometown and the city where he lived, Godwin's name carried weight. He was wealthy, successful, and influential. He owned a logistics company, a thriving block industry, and a mansion that looked like a palace in one of the most prestigious estates in town. At 45, Godwin had everything except a wife. You would think that with his status and wealth, beautiful women would line up at his gate like traders in a busy market. But that wasn't the case at all. The reason Godwin remained unmarried, even at his age, was his family. His mother, Madam Kudi, popularly called Madam K, the queen of the household, and his 5 older sisters, Rose, Blessing, Amanda, Faith, and the most assertive of them all, Princess. 6 women, plus their mother, 7 women who saw Godwin as their divine creation, their golden calf wrapped in silk. Their love for him wasn't ordinary love, it was possessive, obsessive, and dangerous. They truly believed that no woman alive was good enough for their precious Godwin. To them, if he was going to marry, his wife had to be a creature beyond perfection, something the world had never seen. Since such a woman didn't exist, it meant Godwin could never marry. Whenever Godwin mentioned the woman he was dating, within 2 months the drama would begin. The sisters would form a committee and pay the poor girl a visit of inquiry. They would inspect everything, her hair, her hands, the way she spoke, dressed, and even the way she walked. "Look at how we call her," Rose would say, folding her arms. "It looks like something from ABA Market in 1980. Check her shoe heel," Amanda would add, squinting. "Barely 2 inches. That kind of woman has no class to stand beside our brother, Godwin." Their mother, Madam Kudi, would sit in the middle like a judge, her face tight as a drum. "My son is looking for a wife, not a housemaid," she would declare. "And the wife must know God, not one of these girls who wear tight clothes." Their methods were ruthless. They began with coldness, then insults, and before long, they would start framing the girl for one false thing or another. There was one girl Godwin genuinely loved. Madam Kudi told her to wash his clothes one day to test her humility. The girl agreed, eager to impress her future mother-in-law. But while she was washing, Princess sneaked into her bag and stole her brand new phone. Moments later, the family raised an alarm that the phone was missing. The poor girl was accused, shamed, and thrown out of Godwin's life. The worst incident happened with the woman before Naomi. That girl suffered until the day of her wedding. The sisters and their mother tormented her with lies and brought fake prophets to declare that she was possessed by demons. On the wedding day, as she stood at the altar, she looked at Godwin smiling innocently, then at his family glaring from the corner like hunters waiting to strike. Something in her snapped. She dropped her bouquet, turned around, and walked out. Godwin almost collapsed from the humiliation. In deep shame, he swore never to marry again. His family rejoiced. On. "That's how God wanted it," they said proudly. "Our Godwin is too good for them anyway." But everything changed the year Godwin turned 45. That was when he met Naomi. Naomi was nothing like the other women he had dated. She wore no heavy makeup, no designer clothes. She was simple, calm, and carried a quiet strength in her eyes, like fire hidden inside black stone. She worked as a secretary in a small law office. She was only 25. The age gap was wide, but when Godwin looked at her, he saw peace. They met by chance in a local restaurant near his estate. Godwin was eating pepper soup alone, looking weary. Naomi was waiting for her boss, seated at the next table. Her stillness caught his attention, the way she sipped water slowly, her composure. Something about her steadiness pulled him in. He called a waiter and sent her a small note that read, "My name is Godwin. Please, let me buy you lunch. Naomi looked at the note, then at him, a big man with sadness in his eyes. She smiled faintly and replied softly, "Thank you, sir. But I'm waiting for my madam. Maybe another time." That gentle rejection only deepened his interest. He later found her office and visited her with gifts. Naomi was cautious. She knew rich men rarely came with pure intentions. But something in his story moved her. Godwin spoke about his loneliness, the shame of the altar, and the suffocating control of his mother and sisters. Naomi listened quietly. She knew this was not just a rich man's confessions, this was a man caged by love turned poison. In the end, she agreed to see him. The first day Godwin took Naomi home, it was like walking into a battlefield. Madame Cudi sat in the largest chair in the living room, wrapped in her fiercest wrapper, her face carved with authority. Behind her stood the 5 sisters, arms folded, expressions stony. Naomi entered calmly, wearing a simple blue gown. She knelt and greeted the mother and sisters one by one. "Godwin, who is this?" Madame Cudi asked sharply. "Mama, this is Naomi." "She's my girlfriend," Godwin said softly, almost like a whisper. "Girlfriend?" Rose burst out laughing. "This girl wearing cotton material from my village. You say this is who you want to marry?" "Mama, sisters, please," Godwin pleaded. "I want to marry her." From that day, Naomi entered the war zone. The sisters wasted no time. They insulted her, mocked her, and even tried to frame her, all before any ring appeared. But something strange happened. Unlike the others, Naomi didn't cry. She didn't run. She smiled through it all, and in her calm smile, something began to grow. In her eyes, the quiet fire burned brighter. It was as if she was waiting for Godwin to act, waiting for the right moment to strike. Because this time, the golden calf had met his match, a humble, patient rival with a plan that would shake generations. The courtship between Godwin and Naomi was not a sweet love story. It was a battlefield, and Naomi was the only soldier standing against 7 generals. As the days turned into weeks, the family's harassment grew from bad to worse. Madame Cudi and the 5 sisters began to notice that this girl was different. She didn't cry, she didn't run. So they decided to increase the pressure, thinking, if she won't run, we'll chase her out ourselves. Godwin's house became the central meeting point for all the sisters. Every evening they gathered there, sometimes to gossip about politics, but mostly to monitor Naomi and make her life miserable.